you can't tell if there are gaps between the fingers of the drill instructor, can you?
No, you can't.
And you can't tell if the offender can breathe between those gaps, can you?
You can't tell that.
And would you also agree that an exertional sickle cell collapse is unforeseeable?
If one does not know going in that the person was at risk, yes, sir, it would be unforeseeable.
As an example, in this case, assuming for the sake of argument that Martin Lee Anderson had an exertional sickle cell collapse, that would be totally unforeseeable to these folks, wouldn't it?
That's correct.
You have an understanding, do you not, that offenders in boot camp environments do malinger from time to time?
Yes, I do.
And that's just another day at the office, isn't it?
Yeah, I believe that was the exact phrase I used in my deposition.
And you know that even as a doctor, sometimes it's difficult to tell true ailment from malingering.
Yes.
What was the length of time where he was being provided water?
Sips of water?
Cups of water.
Oh, I could see that he was being provided cups of water from time to time, especially in the latter part of it, but I can't tell you what time interval that occurred in. You know, what the duration was. I can't tell you what the volume of water was that he actually imbibed either.
Do you deny that there is literature that would support the conclusion that some people have an exertional sickle cell collapse and despite very quick attention, they still die?
I do not.
You don't dispute that, do you?
No, I do not.
And in your opinion, in this case, during this incident, were Martin Anderson's blood cells sickling while he was exercising?
Yes, I think that's what started this train of events.
Okay. And sickled cells are less efficient at carrying oxygen?
Less efficient, and they get stuck in the circulation.
From the time he stops or is allowed to get back up and run, after they go hands-on with him the first time, do you feel that his blood was continuing to sickle?
I do.
Dr. Carr was a military physician, a hematologist, who did a now well-known study of military recruits in which he looked at collapses and especially deaths during basic training, during their exercises. And he found that the number of deaths from collapse was 28-fold higher in people with sickle cell trait than it was in people without sickle cell trait. Once sickling has started, it tends to cascade because although some sickled cells will unsickle once they reach the oxygen in the lungs, others will stay sickled and make the circuit again through the arteries and come back to the tissue capillaries where they start to pile up and form kind of a sludge so that the red cells no longer have smooth laminar flow. And the sickle cells can't deform and slip through capillaries smaller than the red cell anymore because of their odd shapes. And this then is what produces the lack of oxygen in the tissues. One of the things that oxygen does, and this is seen frequently by paramedics, is that people with a poor oxygen supply to the brain will be what they call combative. They'll start cursing and they start trying to fight. And it's not because they're nasty people, it's because they're not getting oxygen to the brain. Not enough anyway.
Do you know whether or not the simple blood test to find sickle cell trait is an expensive test?
It's cheap.
It's a cheap test, isn't it?
Yes.
And screening an individual's blood for any type of sickle cell ailment is relatively inexpensive, isn't it?
I don't know the cost.
You don't know the cost?
I do not.
Would you be surprised to know that he actually was tested for sickle cell trait as a young man?
What's surprised? I would not be surprised.
Wouldn't be surprised at all, would you?
Not at all.
Did you ask anybody in the family if he had been tested?
Again, I go back to the history. Tell you the process, what I'm telling you.
Who did you get the history from?
From the mother.
From the mother?
Yes. I ask my questions and I get the answer from the family, and that's it.
Thank you, Doctor. And that's because you were relying upon the answers from the mother of the child, right?
Yes, sir.
And you were assuming you could trust the mother of the child to tell you the truth, right?
Absolutely.
And to relay to you accurate information about the child.
Absolutely.
So you assumed that if the mother didn't tell you you had sickle cell, you could believe her.
Absolutely.
You could rely upon that.
Sure.
The course is consistent with mechanical suffocation as the sole inciting event. It is also consistent with exercise-induced sickling crisis in a person with sickle cell trait as the sole inciting event.
So the carbon dioxide numbers on the blood gas draw and the pH numbers on the blood gas draw in Martin Lee Anderson in and of themselves are consistent with exertional sickle cell death due to metabolic acidosis, correct?
Yes. The only disease condition, if you want to call it that, was the sickle cell trait. And then the only injuries I had were these bruises of the extremities, which, although rather striking, partly because of the clotting disorder, lateness hospitalization, played no role in his death.
Tell us why Martin Anderson died.
He died from suffocation because of the hand over the mouth and the ammonia going in the nose.
Martin Lee Anderson didn't die from suffocation, did he?
No, sir.
You're not aware of any case or any study where ammonia has ever caused laryngospasm, correct?
I'm not.
Now, you talked a little bit about ammonia capsules. Let me ask you about that. Do you know at what rate ammonia capsules dissipate?
No.
Dr. Apple indicated to you that from his actual experience, they dissipate extremely quickly within 30 seconds. And he gave you that information, correct?
He did say that he thought they dissipated quickly. Didn't have any numbers, but that was his experience. And that's the expected finding at autopsy. Similarly, with glottic spasm, the expected finding is nothing, an open airway.